Hello, and welcome to part 4 of how not to build a garage. If you watched the last video, you would have seen my camera take a pretty good tumble, so the camera is going to be a little less mobile this time. Here what I'm doing is laying down half-inch plywood, which at this time, thanks to COVID, was $55 a sheet Canadian pesos. If you convert that to Yankee, that's still dollars. But has to be done. So the boards go down, nails 6" on center, through the middle, 3 inches on center, on the edges. You don't want this lifting. And in between each board, there is a little sheet metal clip that holds the boards and allows you to walk across them without them sagging, kind of links them all together. Sort of like Legos, but for, plywood. Now here on the other side, I figured I'd let you guys watch it right from the get-go. I did have my buddy Carlos over. You saw him in the last video. He's the supervisor. And he was running the skid steer, which is terrifying in its own right. But he was lifting up everything to me and making this all go a lot easier. That first row of plywood was a bee with an edge. It was so difficult to get down because I had nothing to stand on. I was literally moving 2 2x4s back and forth across the rafters just to have something to stand on. In hindsight, there's a million better ways to do this. But once that first row was on, everything really went quite well. It's pretty easy to put up plywood. There was one spot where I had a roof truss that was a little bit off canter and I kind of had to double it up or pull them straight. It happens. This is lumber and it did sit out all winter long. And of course you stagger your joints. That's just common sense. And when I couldn't double up the 2x4s, the old clamp trick worked really well. I would definitely recommend investing in a $5 set of F clamps if you're doing something like this. You can use them like bumper jacks. You can do anything with them. Not well, but it does it. Now here I'm rolling down the tar paper. I almost went with that fancy ass blue skin stuff that I think it's called. It's a shop. The tar paper is going to be fine. My house is fine. My parents' house is fine. It's not the tar paper that's the problem. So carry on. Herein started the shingling. A little lesson I learned on this was always start on the backside, but more importantly is don't do the first row all at once. Always work in a 45-degree angle from a corner. It allows you to move your waves and push them where you want them to go so that from the road it looks straight. But you know what? No one's looking at the roof anyways. So I'm working on the end of this side of the roof and I'm about to switch over. I will tell you that bringing shingles up this way is not the easiest thing in the world. It would have definitely been easier if I had the shingles placed, which was an option. I just didn't want to spend the $400. In hindsight, I think that would have been money well spent. Now we're onto the ridge vent. Both sides of the roof have been shingled. The weather is beautiful, considering it's February. If you don't have ventilation, you will end up with condensation. That's not something anyone wants. You want your building to breathe. Buildings need to breathe. They are living, alive thing. If they don't breathe, you end up with another living, alive thing. Mushrooms. Nobody wants those. So here I am, running along with a saw, doing exactly the thing I didn't really want to do, and cutting out all that super expensive COVID price plywood. I was cutting back 6 inches either side. I did it for 24 feet of the 36 feet that this building runs. Man, 6 inches looks so much smaller on film. But anyways, the whole point of this was to put the ridge vent in. The ridge vent allows air from the soffits to travel up along the plywood that my roof is made of, and out through the ridge vent as it gathers moisture and heat. Now, in a garage, you shouldn't have too much moisture for the most part, but it's still a really good idea, because if you don't do this, man, you're gonna end up with so many problems. Here I'm just scoring a couple of shingles and making them short to fit under the ridge vent. I wasn't totally happy with the way that these were attached, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Here is the supervisor become worker, skid steer driver, sort of air, Carlos, and he's in there helping me roll this stuff out in 25-mile-an-hour winds. So this is a plastic product. I bought it through Home Hardware. It's ventilated with fins to disallow rainwater coming in on the bottom, smooth on the top, and then as you can see on the edges, it's corrugated to allow ventilation. You shingle right over this, so you don't even notice it from the road. I was pretty impressed with this product. Now, because I am a dumb, we definitely put it on the wrong way round based on the prevailing winds. I didn't want the wind driving in through the nice corrugations and down into the roof, so we pulled it off, turned it around, and started again. Once the side that faced the road was down and was nice and straight to give that illusion of competency, we nailed down the backside where nobody can see it and nobody cares. From this point forward, it was just banging shingles down. Cut them as you would for a hip roof or a ridge, you know, kind of the thing we're doing. And keep on doing it until you run out of roof and fall off. And just keep going till it's done. Thanks for wasting your time with me today. It's appreciated. You deserve a beer.